without further ado, I think I'm going to just introduce today's guest so we can not waste any more time, but get into the world of Afrobeats and finding out more about this particular personality. So, welcome to the Variety Show.
Thank you very much for having me, Samantha. Really appreciate it.
Well, I'm really excited that you said yes to come on my show.
Yep.
That was for me, a bit of a scoop. I was quite strategic because I kind of thought, well, it's a bank holiday weekend. Yep. There's either two options. You're either free or you're away. So I thought I've got a 50-50 chance. I had this thought a week ago. I thought, who can I have as my guest? And I thought, he is such a busy guy that let me just try if on the off chance you've got a day off.
It was the best plan. The fact that today is Good Friday, it's a holiday, and I wasn't away. I was supposed to travel, actually, go into Switzerland, but I decided to postpone that because I have a couple of events over the weekend. So this was perfect timing for me. And I was very, very happy to be invited, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm excited because I like to invite especially creatives, artists, entrepreneurs, people that have kind of a story to tell, and people that are inspirational onto my show. I mean, I love music and I like playing music, but I also like talking, and I like sort of getting into just finding out about different people and what makes them tick and what's kind of got them on the path they're on. That's always of interest to me.
Wow. It's brilliant.
So I will be, I'll go easy on you. I'll just ask you a few questions and then we just see where it goes.
Absolutely.
I tend to go for quite a free-flowing interview.
Yep.
I know. I noticed you were on BBC earlier in the week.
Yes.
This is going to be a very different experience. This is going to be more holistic.
Yeah, let's make that happen.
Holistic maybe is a good way to put it.
Let's make that happen.
Yeah. So you were not born in the UK, am I correct?
Yes, I was born in Nigeria, raised in Nigeria. First level of education, primary, secondary, university in Nigeria, and then I moved out here after university to move here with my family. I've got my mom here. She's always lived here. So I just moved here, started living with my mom and started working and getting into the British culture. Growing up in Nigeria, I'd always come here on a holiday in the early years. So there's a lot of family here in London, in the UK as well. So when my mom eventually moved there and I came to join her, there was a level of balance as well. There's extended family members, first cousins and stuff like that. So settling into the UK was pretty straightforward for me.
That's quite similar to my story because I didn't grow up in the UK. So from my mum's side, I'm Finnish. So I kind of consider myself more Nordic. And
Viking.
I'm a Viking. I know. It's probably best you know now.
Oh my God. Well,
because I can fake it as an English rose.
Listen.
Or I try.
That's brilliant.
And then I just bring out the artillery.
But the good thing is you're also speaking to an African king, an African warrior. So when warriors collide, it's always a beautiful thing.
Exactly. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if that is one reason why I have a lot of people in my life who are from either Nigeria or Ghana.
A connection.
It's quite interesting. I don't know even how it's happened, but it seems to be increasingly a thing.
So I think it's, cultures attract, souls attract, energies attract. And over the last couple of years, I think for me, that's been priority for everything I've done. The people that you see me around, we've been connected for a long, long time. I walked into this room with my manager and a superstar photographer who's responsible for the images that you see of Afrobeats of the last 10 years. His name is Michael Tubes. His pictures have completely blessed the entire social media and the internet for over 10 years. Every iconic picture you see of Afrobeats or any superstar, Michael Tubes took that. And we've been together as brothers for a minimum of 10 years, and that's simply because of energy and cultures and souls just attracting together.
And I think that's a very important thing. And I've realized that. I've realized sort of almost just to trust the process.
Yes.
That certain people come into your life and they're for a reason.
Yep.
And then if people don't stay in your life, that's normally for a reason as well. And it's just that, your paths either were meant to combine for a time.
Yep.
They were there for a season or a reason. But some people are there for a lifetime. So you too.
Yeah.
10 years of
We've
working together.
Absolutely. Being just brothers and family members, you know, we have similar interests, similar goals. We've got the same beliefs. We are hard on hard work and consistency. We know that there are no shortcuts to success. We know that for the ultimate being, who we call the Almighty, to bless your work, you have to be working first of all. So we put that first. So and we are in this culture for passion. We never got into this because of financial benefits. Afrobeats was just a part of us and celebrating our culture that we wanted to share with the world. You know, I've been through pirate radio, I've been through licensed radio, I've been through television, and I was doing and singing the same message. So because of that, it was easy for people like myself, Michael, and other people that to carry on being together because our interests were similar. Yes, we've put in so much work. We'd appreciate financial benefits and rewards for our sweats and hard work. But first of all, we're thinking about the culture first. We're thinking about our hard work first. We're thinking about the wider society, opening the doors for other people to come join us. You know, Africa, African, and Afro-pop culture has been put on a back burner for years. We've always been the ones behind the doors, not celebrated, not allowed in, or maybe just one or two once in a while. But we've always been about welcoming everybody to Africa. You know, even when we were being taken advantage of centuries ago, you know, the leaders welcomed people in, and then they took advantage of them. So now we still have that spirit, and with our culture, our music, now we're welcoming people to come join us. We're not derogatory, we're not disrespectful, we're not violent. We're just about happy music, happy culture, good people that want everybody to come celebrate with us. Even with our food, you mentioned Ghana, Nigeria. You know, we might be talking jollof rice war, but we still love each other and we want everybody to come taste the jollof, regardless of which one you're going to go with.
I was doing an event and it was with a really lovely group of young people and they were sort of split. There was not exactly 50-50, but there was the Nigeria and the Ghana. And then we were doing like a group sort of exercise. We're getting to know each other.
Yeah.
And one of them just thought, I think he just wanted to stir things up. So he started, he was Ghanaian. He did start insulting the Nigerian jollof and calling it, you know, rice with ketchup and things like that.
Yes.
It was, and I was like, oh, brave boy. It was really funny.
Sibling rivalry. I think that's what we finally found ourselves understanding a lot more. It's okay to have rivalry, but we all believe that, you know, we're one. As Africans, when you walk into the room, before they ask whether you're Nigerian, Ugandan, or South African, they know that you're African first. And even if you're West Indian, they know you are African first. So before the conversation leads to your immediate identity, there's an overall identity that we all connect with. And I think that overall identity is now what we're carrying across the waters. There's been a separation between Africa and the West Indies for years. Because of obvious reasons, the colonial masters. However, what politics could not do, you know, what politicians failed to do, music, arts, and culture is doing that. You know, bringing Nigeria with Kingston, you know, Trinidad and Tobago with Ghana, and that's because of that one umbrella that we are. We all are Africans, and we can't hide from that.
And that's really something that interests me, is how you're very, well, one, you're extremely hardworking.
Thank you.
Because I've tried to keep track of how much you do. And just trying to keep track of it, I sometimes look at your posts and updates and I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted just scrolling through them with my cup of tea. I'm like, and then he's been there. And then I'm trying to figure it out. Like, this night he was here, but then he was also there. But I don't know if you've just got like a really good social media team behind you, or you actually do all of that.
I do everything. So my social media is a reflection of who I am and my interests. And I think that's extremely important for social media users. I'm not trying to be someone that I'm not. I'm not trying to be flashy in a celebrity car or whatever. No, that's not me. What I am is that I'm a lover of Afrobeats. I'm a happy-go-lucky person. I'm blessed to be doing what I love. You know, I'm surrounded by great people. I love children. I'm a father, a husband. You know, these are things that I am. So I use my social media to reflect that. If I enjoy your music, I love the concert, I'm going to let other people know. And that's really the energy you see around my social media as well.
Yeah, and it's a lot of energy that comes across. And I think you strike me as someone who just naturally is very energetic and out there.
Yep.
And you've been championing African music, Afrobeats, for years.
Yes.
How do you feel about it at the moment? Because I think it is fair to say that African artists are taking over.
Absolutely.
In a huge way.
Yep.
And the music is like you said, like previously the doors were closed.
Yep.
Now it feels like the doors are really opening up.
Absolutely.
So how do you feel about it?
Listen, you mentioned energy. Yes, I've been blessed with that naturally. But again, I do have the Energy God energy drink that gives everybody the same type of energy that I have. So you can go on energygod.com and get that information. But honestly speaking, with regards to where Afrobeats and Afropop music is at the moment, this was nothing that we dreamt of at the beginning. I was in a pirate radio station in Peckham, on Peckham High Street, in 2003. We were just playing to people in Peckham and Elephant Castle and these environments. Never thought it was going to go further than that. But for every level up we went, it was something to celebrate. We went to the Indigo 2. We went to HMV Hammersmith Apollo. We had Kanye West show up for the band. Oh my God. For every level we went to, we never thought we'd see that. We saw Snoop Doggy Dogg in a video with the band and Don Jazzy. Wow, this is crazy. We saw Rick Ross and P Square. What is going on here? Those things. Two-Face had a song that ultimately left Africa and became a Caribbean anthem. African Queen, my gosh. So we never thought all of that was going to happen. So now that we're seeing the new generation, from the likes of the big three, your Davido, Wizkid, Burna Boy, who are tearing down walls around the world. Burna Boy is doing stadiums this year. We've got the 3rd of June in London for Burna Boy. We've got the 29th of July in London for Wizkid. Each one's doing stadiums, West Ham and Tottenham.
They're huge venues. Huge venues. I live near the Tottenham Stadium. It's massive.
It's incredible. And we want not just Africans to come out. We want friends of Africa to come out, lovers of Afrobeats to come out, support great, incredible musicians and fantastic talent and fantastic culture, and to see where we are now. This now lets us know that there are no barriers, even though people try to keep us behind the doors. As long as we keep on working hard, showing love first, believing in God and working, just pushing our culture with our own energy, other people that are attracted to those energies will find their way to us, Burna Boy in Jamaica, Wizkid here, Davido there. People will come. And I think it's a very important example for young people. And that's what I say all the time, that if you have a belief, you believe in something, don't worry about, people not catching on to it at the beginning. I was doing interviews when I was dropping over 10, 12 years ago on YouTube that only had 20, 30 views. Now, we just walked in. I just released the interview I did with Davido last night, and the interview is already at 1,000 views in 1 hour.
Wow.
So that just shows you growth, consistency, hard work, belief in your own, you have to believe first before other people will believe. I went to an interview once in 2011 for a TV station who was Christian at the time, OHTV. So I went alongside my brother, shout outs to DJ Larry of Factory 78. We were trying to get Factory 78 TV on OHTV. And the man told us at the time, I like your concept, I love your content. However, there's no space on our platform for your pop content here. And when he, gave us that disappointing news, he gave us something he never knew he left in me for life. On our way out, he pulled us back. He said, if you really believe in what you're doing, if at the time Osama bin Laden was the most hated man in the world, if bin Laden could stand in a corner and his belief attracted people that believed in his horrible views, then you can stand in your corner and make people believe in what you thought about and see how this will go from there. And I just thought, okay, so if someone that was doing evil still could get attention and we're just trying to promote our culture, even though we don't have the platform, then we could do this, we could get attention too. I walked out of that room and I said, yeah, we didn't get the TV deal, but we could still make Factory 78 the most iconic thing within Afropop culture. And guess what? We did. Factory 78 TV today is one of the most iconic platforms that's celebrating Afrobeats and Afropop culture worldwide because of the energy that DJ Larry and myself took to the table and how we celebrated our unknown stars at the time. Nobody knew who Wizkid was, or The Banj, or Two-Face Idibia, or P-Square, but we did in our culture, and we wanted other people to love them the way we did. And that energy resonated through the screens and got people on our bandwagon. And today, Burna Boy is at 50,000 in West Ham on the 3rd of June, and Wizkid is at 50,000 at Tottenham on the 29th of July.
They're selling out the absolute biggest venues in London.
It's crazy.
They are. And do you know what? Do you know which artist I always, when I ask people to request a song,
yes,
guess what name they say time and again?
They'll probably say Burna Boy.
It's always,
I know.
always Burna Boy. Always.
I
And they do not get, every time I play Last, I think that's the last time. It isn't.
Yeah.
Because it will get requested again and again and again and again and again.
I'll tell you why. I think
it's a good song.
I think one of the reasons Burna Boy also resonates with a lot of people outside of the Afropop culture is because he has a strong Caribbean and UK edge to him.
That's
He's
true.
a Nigerian who also lived in the United Kingdom. So he has a kind of London swagger to himself, a little twang in his accent, and he loves dancehall music, reggae, and hip-hop, and he brings that along with his pride in African music. And when you watch him, you hear everything, you see everything. You see Africa, you see the Caribbean, you see the UK, you see every single thing. So even if you're not African and you're just British, you can identify with the UK element that he's brought in. He had collaborations with, the UK stars, from Jay Huss to the list goes on. Then if you're Caribbean, you don't need to go that far before you hear, your elements in Burna Boy. And I think he is such a wonderful ambassador and artist coming out of Africa that a lot of us, yes, shout outs to Wizkid and incredible talents like Davido and P-Square, and the list goes on. But Burna Boy is doing something that is taking us a while to do. He's gone to the Caribbean to do stadium tours in Jamaica, in Antigua, in Barbados. He's gone there to say, all right, brothers and sisters, here we are. And this is our music. This is our culture. Come feel it. So what happens is the Jamaicans and the Bajans and the Trinidad and Tobagans in London, their cousins are telling them, hey, Burna Boy was out here. So that alone even draws people closer to him. And again, we can only be proud of such brilliant work from him. So I'm not surprised everybody wants to listen to his music.
And you know what? Listening to that is beautiful because obviously I grew up in extreme Arctic North. so my life experience very different. Came to London very young.
Yes.
I was 19. Turned up, got myself a job. I got myself quite a good job, actually. I must have blag it. And I'm living in London. I need somewhere to live. I have one day to find somewhere to live.
Gosh.
So I pick a room that is cheap and it's near a tube station. And I landed in Tottenham.
Wow.
And then I joined a local church, and everybody's black. I'm one of the 3 white people there. But what I learned when I made friends there is even though that church was mixed, there was 2 distinct. See, this confused me no end as a girl from a little Nordic country that doesn't know anything about anything. To me, everybody had the same skin tone. They looked like they were from the same culture, but
Absolutely.
they were not.
Facts.
They were not.
Facts.
One of my friends who was African origin wanted to date the girl who was Jamaican.
And the cultures.
And you know what? I learned really quickly that that's not good.
The cultures are different.
Nobody was happy about it.
Yeah.
And I was, it was a learning curve for me.
Yes.
But that's what I'm grateful for, having lived in London my adult life. I've learned so much about different cultures and how they intermix or don't in certain cases. So you describing, I can, based on all that I learned in my early 20s already with friends and observing things in those cultures, I can appreciate the enormity of what Burna Boy is achieving.
Absolutely.
Like you said, music is achieving what nothing else seems to have achieved, which is bringing those black communities together that are from very different backgrounds.
You have to understand that the plan of the colonization was separation.
Yes.
The meaning of colonial masters was to segregate people, to split us apart, and taking people as far away as the Caribbean and leaving some to endure impoverished or whatever in Africa and taking others to the United States of America was a systematic approach to separate the people. Now, to get out of that mindset, it's going to take centuries. It's going to take centuries of hard work, centuries of love crossing borders, centuries of people letting down their guards and not being suspicious of one another because of what they've heard for over 100 years. And that's where we are now. We've finally gotten to those walls coming down and bridges being built and music finally becoming the tool to completely finish what all the other great people before, the likes of Burna Boy and Co, have done. You know, Bob Marley is an example of that. I think if there are two people that we grew up knowing in the corners of the world, it was Michael Jackson and Bob Marley. And Bob Marley, mainly because of his great music and his message of love and peace. And look how long it's taken for us to get the younger generation, your Wizkids, your Davidos and Burna Boys, to be walking that path. Probably 30 plus years of continuous hard work trying to bring our brothers and sisters together. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but the music is doing it.
It is, and I think where it's at the moment is amazing. And I've been reflecting on the fact that the world needs it.
Yeah.
The world needs the African
change.
spirit.
It's a change because
Absolutely.
our spirit is completely, like I said, I never knew anything about racism until I moved here. And I say that with all humility, pride, and love. You know, yes, we saw movies that showed us what the black story was in the United States of America and some parts of the UK and some of the struggles that people had gone through. But being in Nigeria, we celebrated other cultures. Yes, we had tribalism and tribal differences and tribal wars, which again were inflicted, the wounds that were inflicted on us by the colonial masters and, you know, favoring a group of people over the others. Some were selected for leadership whilst others were selected just for hard work and labor. Eventually it was going to come to a head where people were going to start fighting the natural orders. However, racism really, I experienced it when I got here, that wow, so people can actually hate somebody just by the color of their skin and not knowing who they were. That was alien to me. So that was the first level of education that I had to go through. And I think a lot of people need to understand that as Africans, the number one thing that you're taught is the welcoming spirit. You have to be welcoming and showing love. So yeah, I think the world needs it, and that's what our music and our culture is putting on the table now. You know, that smile. Look at what Ghana has become. Ghana has become the number one place to go because of their welcoming spirit and the love that they show foreigners and everybody else. And that's a typical example of what African and African pop culture is.
I think that's incredible to reflect on. There's like maybe a deeper personal question just based on what you said. So you came to the UK after you'd finished university in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So you're what, 22, 23?
Yeah.
That kind of early 20s.
Early 20s.
And that was your first time. You'd visited UK, but that was the first time living here.
Absolutely.
And that's when it hit you.
Of course.
This is what those movies are about.
Yes.
This is what those programs are about.
Yeah.
Like, people actually are, well, it's a mixture of fear and ignorance and
It's
whatever attitude they're brought up with, because you absorb it as a child, don't you?
In the UK, I think every African will tell you that we felt like we were at the bottom of the barrel. You know, we thought that there was a hierarchy. You know, the white, you know, maybe Asian, Caribbean, and then Africans. We felt like we were down at the bottom of the barrel, and everything around us was that down. And at the time when I started playing music on Pirate Radio, that was probably the motivation around that. There was nowhere else for us to listen to our music. Here's a place in Peckham where they give me a whole 2 hours to play whatever I want to play and just be myself in a room where I didn't even understand whether people were listening or not. Once in a while, people would ring in. So we went there, just celebrated ourselves and had a good time. And then outside of that, the other places that we're congregating and celebrating our culture and feeling confident was the weddings, the naming ceremonies, the church on Sundays. those were the little communities where things were starting to blossom. And from those was where our confidence and our capes came on, because second generation children had already deserted their African pride. They weren't confident to be Africans. So they would tell you they were British, or some people would say they were Caribbeans, because it was not cool to be an African. That's the last thing you want to be when I moved here. So I can imagine what it was even before I came here, so that was the last thing you wanted to be. But now, I've got a teenage daughter that the first thing that comes out of her mouth is that she's African. She's Nigerian, because of she's obviously going in a house with a very proud African father, but she's also been brought up around Afrobeats, and she's been to shows at the Indigo too, and went to shows at the O2 Arena to see Wizkid. So now she can confidently say that she has superstars in our culture. So her pride is great.
And given how big those stars are, she'll be the envy of all of her friends. She's like, your dad got you where?
Yeah, my son, a video went viral on TikTok with my son coming from school saying my dad knew who Wizkid was, and nobody believed him at school. So he came home disappointed and talking to me and saying they don't believe me. And that video went viral on social media, and I asked him, what do you want me to give you? He said, just give me a picture. Give me a picture. Let me take it to school. People were suggesting artists come over. Wizkid would show up at the school and stuff. And then his uncle, Smade, printed like a massive picture of myself, Wizkid, and him, and had it laminated and gave it to me and said, just let me take it to school. And that's how, this is a 7-year-old kid that wanted to go to school to let them know that, listen, man, my dad knows Wizkid. Do you understand? Like, this is... In Essex, at that, 10, 12 years ago, he would probably have been saying Justin Bieber. He wouldn't have been that confident to say Wizkid. And that's what the culture's done. That's what the Wizkids and Davidos and Burna Boys, your Tiwa Savage and Yemi Alades have done for us. And then ending with Yemi Alade, for an example, who has consistently flown the flag of the African culture, regardless of how diluted, we have been at some times. That still shows us the elements of that African pride that we used to be ashamed of, but now is what is being celebrated in the Royal House here in London, where, the prince and princess needed, they wanted an African to perform. They went for a Yemi Alade who was flying in those colors at the highest level. Incredible talent, incredible music, but of representation of the people that, probably we've offended for centuries of years. Why not have her, represent the bridge that we're trying to bridge? And for me, that's where we are today. That's where we are.
Do you know what? I just went quiet there because I'm just reflecting on everything you're saying.
Yeah.
I think it was a really good thing that you came here as an adult.
Absolutely.
Because I've got some friends that have got, either Ghanaian or Nigerian background, but they were born here.
Yeah,
and it is harder.
It's different.
It is harder. It is different.
But now they've
and
connected.
I think that, now I think, like you said,
now
they're getting comfortable with saying, this is my heritage, this is my culture, this is my background, and I'm proud to be, who I am. But I think the reason you've been able to champion the culture and the music is because you grew up there and you're secure in that.
Yeah.
You've got that secure background that you grew up, accepted as who you are, and there was none of this that you then would come across once you moved here. But I think I'm really grateful that people like you exist, because that you've done such an important work of just I can see how you've impacted the younger generation. You will have had massive impact with the work you've done, not just in getting the music artists out there, but like you said, just making it something to be proud of and celebrate your African heritage, rather than be somehow made to be felt that you're not as good. But when I came to the UK, because I also didn't grow up here, and I know for a fact that I would not be the person I am today and do the things I do had I grown up here. And any British people that are listening, I'm going to probably get some messages from friends in a minute. It is just a reality of British culture that even for the white people here, there's still a class system. Let's not pretend there isn't. There is. There is a class system. My parents didn't educate me on that. I came to the UK at the age of 18, and I phoned my mum and I say, they are completely crazy here. They've got something called elocution lessons. Oh, yeah. I'd never heard of this thing in my life. In my life. In Finland, you just speak the way you speak.
Speak your language.
And that will tell you which region you're from. But the fact that people would go to an effort to change the way they speak to try to fit a different group.
Into a different class. I think, again, upbringing is very important. You know, my father is a medical doctor. I've got a history of extremely confident people. My grandfather had studied in the United Kingdom. He was the first person to have a charity, an organization in Nigeria that was solely dedicated to supporting disabled people in Nigeria. Then my grandmother on my other side was like the first nurse to come out of our entire state, our entire place. And then my other grandmother was an incredible baker who had come to the United Kingdom to study, who was one of the first women to have met the first pope to come to Nigeria. Then my father is a medical doctor who's traveled the world and seen everything. So I've been raised around very confident people who had made me feel like I'm not second class. And my pride in my heritage and what my background should be put first at every time. And as confident as I am, that's how people are going to accept me. So when we started the journey of promoting Afrobeats music, I brought all those elements from my heritage into my actions, you know, because I'm who I am. You know, I'm not second class. I'm not, you know, I might not have been born here. I might not have studied here, but I'm educated. I'm comfortable in my skin. I'm a proud Nigerian. You know, I'm an Ekiti man, you know, who's got, I know where my family tree is. I know who my great-great-great-grandfather is, you know. So I know all these things. So if I'm able to transmit that in my daily life, then the young people that I impact, whether it's my daughter or my son, will be fed that. And even if they don't have that history as far back as I do, whatever history they have, be it just their father and their mother, they should be able to take confidence from that. Coming from South London, most African parents are working 24 hours, 12-hour shifts. Your parents are not around. They're trying to put food on the table to make sure that you can be a normal human being. Respect that and transmit that when you go to school, when you go to church, when you're around friends. And hopefully people will be able to see that in you, and that will put you in positions that you probably never thought you'd be in ever.
For sure. And I think that's quite an important thing, to know your family, know where you're coming from. What made you pick music? Because all of those examples that you just gave, we're not really in the arts.
They're all scientists.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
So what made you? Because I've got a friend that's done the opposite. Yeah. All her family are artists, musicians, and she's picked neuroscience.
Yeah.
Because to do something different.
Yeah.
You've done it the opposite way around.
I think for me, it comes to what I told you about my father being extremely confident and making you feel comfortable in your own skin to be whoever you wanted to become. The most important thing to my father was that, you know, be educated, be comfortable, so you're not a liability to yourself, your family, your society, or your friends. And as much as you believe in whatever it is that you want to do, you can go ahead and be that person. So from day one, I've always, as much as I was studying and I was trying to be that good kid that everybody else is, I've always had a completely different personality, had different interests, and they've allowed that from growing up. So choosing to follow promoting music and doing these things was almost like a hobby to me. So for me now, I champion to young people, have a hobby. It's essential to have a hobby. It ultimately might lead you to a path that becomes a financial position, or might just give you a mental release and an outlet for you to enjoy yourself outside of your daily routine. For me, it was a hobby that made me happy. I listen to music like I'm in the car. I'm sweating in the studio when I'm playing music on the radio. Whatever I expect you to do, I'm doing it there. So I'm just having fun. That's the only place I can go that crazy with myself and not being judged. That was it. But guess what? That energy transcended the radio waves, transcended the cameras, and people gravitated towards that, and they gave me more encouragement by saying, oh man, when I watch you, I get so excited. And that maybe gave me an extra inch to keep doing more. But it started as a hobby that ultimately has now become a vocation, has now become my job, has now become my calling. My calling now is to celebrate African pop music, pop culture, and African people. That's what God blessed me to do.
And I think that's an important thing to realize, is that especially when you've got something that you're drawn to doing, and then the doors, and like you said, hard effort is still required.
Yes.
And I think it's good to have that balance of understanding that, yes, God will give you certain calling, certain giftings, but he will also expect you to do your bit. He will open some doors for you, but you still need to keep going with it. And the persistence is needed.
We haven't slept for, Michael Tubes is here. We haven't slept for 3 or 4 days, and we're probably not going to sleep for the next 3 or 4 days because we still have very important things happening. And if you look at the rewards of that, it might not be on the same level of the amount of effort we put into it, but that's what's expected. The rewards might not be at the level of the efforts you put into it, but there are different rewards. Might not be financial, might be emotional, might be mental, so find different ways of receiving rewards for what you're doing. If it makes you it makes me extremely happy to see David O back on the stage, to see David O topping the charts in the UK, the United States of America, doing interviews, looking like the happiest he's ever been. That makes me happy. It's not a financial reward, but that's an emotional reward for me as a fan and an ambassador of the culture, that he's doing well. It makes me happy to see Burna Boy on stage with Popcorn in Jamaica, singing together. Makes me happy to see Whiskey touring the world. Those are the rewards that you might not associate with financials immediately, but they make us feel good. And that's what people need to start prioritizing. That not everything is going to fatten your pockets. No.
And in all honesty, I've come across people who have a lot of money, but they don't have fulfillment.
Yep.
So I think if you do something you're passionate about and something that you're getting real rewards from,
incredible.
Exactly. It's a completely different experience. And then the financial rewards will be the icing on the cake.
Yes.
Rather than the actual thing.
Yes. Financial rewards will ultimately come. We speak about that all the time. If you believe in something so much and you push so hard on that and you're getting results of your hard work for the success of what you're doing, the financial rewards will come. Yes. I got a message, shout out to my brother Eddie Caddy, just on my way here, where he said the entertainment industry is full of evil people, terrible people who want to take advantage of others, and how open you are to serving your culture. Some people want to take advantage of that. They want to benefit off of that. They see you as an access to something. However, if you put God first and you work as hard as you will, even those who have come to take advantage of you will end up blessing you. So that is how you have to see it. Hard work, serious faith, and be open. And the rest, the financial rewards will come. We all want to fly private jets if it's available. Why wouldn't you want to ride in a Rolls Royce if it's available to you? Why? But you have to think about the work first and think about others first. There are positions that could have been in that would have benefited myself alone, but I decided to take Michael with me. And that probably took my financials away, or take maybe DJ Larry with me. And that reduced the amount of money I got from that end. But I had a completely different reward that I brought Michael with me. I brought my, DJ Larry with me. That's a different reward. And no matter how those that financially benefited from that position, they will never be as happy as I am. Never. I'm happy that I took my brothers with me. I'm happy. So whoever thought that they took advantage of me, they can go with that. I'm going to be blessed in a different way.
And there's something about when you bless others Because that's kind of what you're describing. Is you're saying, well, if I didn't take these people with me, make them part of my team, part of what I'm doing and my work, then maybe there would have been more money in my pocket. Yeah. But at the end of the day, and I actually believe that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Because I think there's an energetic thing around money. Money is actually very spiritual and very a deep subject. You have to be generous for there to be a flow.
Samantha, you have to be honest. Evil people will prosper.
They do.
Evil people are successful. Evil, selfish, self-centered, dejected people will be flashy. They will make the money. They will do some of the greatest things in the world, but they can never be you. In your comfort zone, in your peace of mind, in your happiness, they will never be that. You know, say they can make all the millions that they want to, but they will never be me. So it takes a level of confidence and pride in yourself to understand that you will come in contact with people that want to take advantage of you, that want to be evil and block doors and find ways not to make you prosper. But they will never be you. As long as you're comfortable in your skin, you never got into this because of money in the first place. So every win is a different level of success. Whereas they did. They were counting the pennies from day one. I wasn't. I put my money into it. The money that was supposed to go towards taking care of my kids, their rent, their mortgage, whatever, I took from that to make sure that I ran around and promoted this thing for years just to make me feel good. So it's a different type of reward. So we need to let people know as well that don't worry, you will see evil people prosper, but they will never have the same type of fulfillment that you have. And as long as you know that, you will always have one over them. Always, always. They'll wonder why this guy is still running around being happy and this guy, and they'll be in their rooms angry and bitter and, you know, and just being evil. But they can never touch the light because what you bring is different.
And I think also it ties in with what you said earlier. So if you put out a certain energy, a certain vibe, that's going to attract the people that are drawn to that.
That's it.
So you're going to, so like in your case, you've got a huge following now. Huge amount of people that know you, follow you, are inspired by you. Yeah. And if you had done everything just from a selfish point of view and for your own gain, I guarantee you would not have that kind of response and that kind of people around you.
No,
because they wouldn't be drawn to you.
Never.
It's a different thing, isn't it? And like you said, you've got satisfaction in seeing, well, really, it's the fruits of your labor.
Yeah, seeing other people grow. Seeing other people grow. You know, I saw Rema when people were criticizing him and saying that he sounded Indian and Rema didn't have what it took and Rema didn't really have staying power, but I believed in what Rema had. I saw that difference from day one. I thought the young brother brought something to the culture that was lacking, and I continue to be a fan and a supporter of Rema's work. So today when I'm seeing Rema headlining concerts in London and being on international platforms and completely tearing down walls in my secret corner and in the public, I also say I'm proud I told you so. I believed in that. You got it wrong, but I got it right because of my belief in the young people and that energy I saw. I got it right. And that is why you get it right.
And that's some amazing thoughts that you've been sharing. And we're going to be back after a little break.
my duty here.
Joe, I'm here, baby Joe. Joe, I'm here, baby Joe. Your love it and time me, yeah. I did this it and time me, yeah. Joe, I'm here, yeah. I know fit to take my eyes off you, 'cause of the little things you do. Fit to make a man confused. Baby, you know say nobody find past you. Chop your vibe pass fufu, and if you leave me more like cool. Joe, 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 I'm here, baby Joe. Oh yeah, baby, so mommy, yeah. Joe, Joe, I'm here, baby Joe. Your love like a tsunami, yeah. Joe, Joe, I'm here, baby Joe. Oh yeah, baby, so mommy, yeah. Joe, I'm here, baby Joe. Your love like a tsunami, yeah. Give me that, give me that, give me that. I do it, give me that, give me that, give me that. I do it, give me that, give me that, give me that. I do it, give me that, give me that, give me that.
Tell me how I go pretend you're the beginning and the end. You don't scatter my idea. It's your vibes for me, your love for me. Ride or die on my company. Your love me, smile for me. Everything that you do for me. Yeah. Love I can get back, yeah. Baby, carry me away. Oh, baby, Joe.
Joe, Joe, I'm here, baby Joe. Oh yeah, baby, so mommy, yeah. Joe, I'm here, baby Joe. Your love like a tsunami, yeah. Joe, I'm here, baby Joe. Oh yeah, baby, so mommy, yeah. Joe, I'm here, baby Joe. Your love like a tsunami, yeah. Give me that, give me that, give me that. I do it, give me that, give me that, give me that. I do it, give me that, give me that, give me that. I do it, give me that, give me that, give me that. Joe, I'm here, baby Joe. Oh yeah, baby, so mommy, yeah. Joe, I'm here, baby Joe. Your love like a tsunami, yeah. Joe, I'm here, baby Joe. Oh yeah, baby, so mommy, yeah. Joe, I'm here, baby Joe. Your love like a tsunami, yeah.
And that is Yemi Alade. I'm not even sure if I said it properly. Yemi Alade?
Yes, Yemi Alade.
Good, thank you. What I realised is if I approach it from the Finnish pronunciation,
Yeah.
I get a lot closer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Because in Finnish, you would just read it as it is. So you would read it as Yemi Alade.
Exactly.
So if I do that, I get the African names a little bit closer.
That's why I told you that there's a connection with Vikings and African warriors, because they've all come from a culture where family is respected, hard work is respected, treating people with courtesy and decency is respected. And when you bring that together, that transcends any culture in the world. Whether you're Indian, Pakistani, Jamaican, those are the first elements of those cultures. Respect, faith, love, it's universal, completely universal.
It's true. And I think one thing that attracts me about the Nigerian culture.
Yeah.
Because I've been I work with a lot of people that I work a lot with people in the music industry.
Yeah.
And I also work a lot with people that are Christian, and it seems to end up being a lot of people of African origin.
Yep.
And what I like about the Nigerian culture is there is that confidence and boldness.
Yes.
It's just incredible confidence and boldness.
Yeah,
And I think that's such a strength.
I think Nigerians, that's one of the reasons why we resonate a lot with Jamaicans, because when a Jamaican enters a room, you know. When a Nigerian enters a room, you know. I think it's born out of, number one, the number of the people, which means to be heard, you have to stand out. You know, the struggles, the post effects of colonial regime means there has to be hard work. So there's that element in there. Number one, to be heard, you have to be different. You have to have the elements of hard work. You have to believe in yourself, even when others don't, And I think that's the good thing about Nigerians, that a lot of people always will catch anywhere. So if you travel anywhere in the world, we've got Nigerians in Finland, we've got Nigerians in Norway, we've got Nigerians in Sweden. Anywhere that there's hard work, opportunities for work to create a better situation, then it's there, and that's what you see, and that's what now we're trying to instill in our young kids that are born and raised in the Western world. Let them have that element of it.
And has that been a challenge? Because you've talked about your son and daughter.
Yeah.
What kind of age are they?
So my daughter is a teenager. She's going to be 17 this year. My son is going to be 10 years old this year. So, the good thing is I'm blessed with family members that are still very in the culture. My mom, she's a proud Nigerian. My mother-in-law, their mom. To be honest with you, raising kids, as much as I'm a very hands-on dad, I'm there. I'm there every single day. I take them to school. I get them ready for school. But the power of a mother and a grandmother and an auntie, their powers are limitless. They instill confidence in children. They instill warmth in children. They instill respect and love for others in children. And when you're surrounded by women that are doing that for a man, for a father who's around, your job is just to, once in a while, when they bounce out of, just to guide them back in. Even if they've done something wrong, it's like, your mom told you not to do X, Y, Z. That's the reason why your mom said not to do it. So you're always just like the second hand, just support, that's it. But the mothers really, if you look at the church system, especially as Africans, that's why we say Mama Africa. Mama Africa is the undeniable term that a mother, an African woman, is the power source and the life source of a family. The patriarch, the matriarch, everything comes through Mama Africa. And at the beginnings, they were actually those that were also working. They were the traders. They were the traders that were selling stuff. The men were the farmers, but the mothers were the ones who took the proceeds to the market to make the money and bring it back home. So the role of an African woman, especially in this day and age where there's persecution for your son, the police don't respect the black skin young boy, in the United States of America. They're taking their lives. So the mother's role is incredible. With shout outs to all the incredible fathers, and that roles can never be understated. But what a black mother endures, overcomes, and has to do to ensure that her family is straight, her kids are comfortable, fed, can wear clothes. My mom worked in this country for over 20 years before I saw her again. She was working different shifts. New Year's Eve, New Year's into every single year, my mother fasted for 6 straight days without food or water every year for the last 30 years.
She did a dry fast.
Just because she wanted to make sure her kids were fine. 6 straight days. From Christmas into the New Year. And that was a given for over 30 years. Only a mother can even think of those extremes to protect our kids. Do you understand what I mean? So I have a lot of respect for women, African, Asian, white, whatever. Woman, a mother, so much respect for them.
And I think that's another thing I do like about the African culture. Certainly what I've seen of Nigerian culture is that women are also strong. They're very strong. And they do a lot. Because I see so many black women not just being wives and mothers. They do that, and that's obviously a big part of their role. but I see them be entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I see them get out there and do amazing things.
So the most successful.
And I actually would like more of the European women, more of the British women to copy that.
For me,
To learn from that as a woman you can put yourself forward and you can do things and it's
in the
okay.
last 4 years, before the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic, the most successful group of people in this country, in my opinion, are young black women between the ages of 20 and 35 who have become entrepreneurs, makeup stylists, hair stylists, food merchants, chefs. Do you know the amount of people that are making incredible money from catering weddings and birthdays? They're young black women. Do you know the amount of women that have become successful for being wedding makeups artists? Young black women. Hair stylists in this country. So for me, the most exciting entrepreneur group right now in this country are between 35 and 20-year-old young black women who have taken their talents completely out of the office rooms and their laptops into what their hands can provide for them, still being excellent at their education and their 9-to-5s. So again, it's the results are there. All you have to do is go on social media and type whatever it is you want to see, African hair or food, or you're looking for a chef or you're looking for a caterer. They're there and they're making tons and tons of money. And they're also essential to the success of Afrobeats. The number one fan base for Afrobeats is young black women. They spend more money to the concerts.
Really? They come to all the concerts?
What? They go to the festivals. They travel to Afro Nation. They go to Afro Nation in Portugal. Afro Nation in Portugal and in Ghana would probably have about 60 to 70% young black women. I repeat, Afro Nation in Portugal and Ghana and maybe United States of America would have a minimum of 60% young black women. The most incredible loyal fan base for Afrobeats and Afropop culture are young black women. They're responsible for Wizkid's success. They're responsible for David O's success. They're responsible for Burna Boy's success. They are the most consistent within our culture. So without this successful, hardworking, young black women, Afrobeats, without a doubt, will not be where it is today. Period.
That's really interesting. And one of the things that I have on my heart is I feel really strongly that women need to be encouraged to step more into whatever they feel their calling, their purpose is in, and that they shouldn't hold back.
Yeah.
Because culture I come from, Finland, is the most equal in the world. So you've got traditionally women would rule the homestead and men would hunt and fish. So you had they both had their domain and they were
50-50.
both,
Everybody
one was
doing
the
their own
king
thing.
of the forest and one was the queen of the homestead. So that traditionally means that I have sometimes upset people here because I've been more just kind of going for things.
Equally.
I even had, because I went through I guess like a growth developmental phase where I studied to be a counsellor. So I understood a lot about how my culture had affected how I am through doing all of that.
Yep.
And I came to realise that there's a lot of things about me and the way I do it is the Finnish heritage, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And it gives me almost like an edge. And then I even noted that the way women walk here and how they hold themselves and how they carry themselves, I'm talking about the English women.
Yeah.
It is almost like they're apologetic about their existence.
Because of the society.
Because they've been conditioned to think that your only purpose here is to serve and to be useful.
Yeah.
And to see, like you said, young black women having more confidence, going for things, being entrepreneurs, that's really inspirational. I would like to see that rolled out to every single every single young woman. Every single woman. I would like them all to have that approach and that confidence in life.
Absolutely. I think it's just a reflection of, the challenges that as a black person you go through, having to work twice as hard and present twice as hard and, interview twice as better and to get jobs and roles. So it's conditioned them to look at other opportunities that is not in anybody's control. Me
Yeah,
having
that I create my own opportunity if I'm not being given. Bit like what you did.
that's what I'm saying. So that's
with the pirate radio stations.
with the Afrobeats podcast, with my Energy God energy drink, with me going around and promoting Afrobeat, is also trying to take the power back in now creating a platform that ultimately now could serve as an historical platform for people to go into and research history when it comes to Afropop culture, but also become like a revenue platform for my kids, and they can say this is what my dad had done and this is what we're doing. So that's the same mentality that's led, a lot of the young black women to becoming hairstylists and makeup artists and this caterers and stuff. They're thinking outside of the box rather than going to interview for jobs that, yes, I studied for, but I can also create an opportunity with my own hands, just as the young, talented, gifted guys and girls from Nigeria and Ghana did with Afrobeats music. The producers, the writers, the singers, they had nothing to really give them the opportunities. They created these opportunities by themselves. So that's the reflection that we're getting here in the UK and in most developed worlds now, especially for black people.
Exactly. It's providing role models and it's opening doors and it's making your culture one to celebrate rather than one to maybe downplay or even hide, which might have happened in the past.
Absolutely.
No, I think that's an amazing thing. Do you have any concerns around the fact that Afrobeats has become so huge now, and inevitably I'm guessing that record labels from the US, Europe are looking in that direction for new talent? They're looking in that direction for new talent, and like we said earlier, there are people that don't always have the best motives. Do you have any concerns around that?
I think the concerns will be information and education. The more informed we are and educated about what happened in the past to other genres before us, the more stronger we would be in decision making when we're partnering with international platforms such as record labels, agencies and platforms here and there. We've got hip-hop to study. Hip-hop is one of the most iconic cultures in the world. Open doors for black people from America to Nigeria to Japan and anywhere else in the world. And what some of those people have gone on to do, your P. Diddy's, your Dr. Dre's, and your Jay-Z's, and how they've managed to do things, we've got that as an open book to learn from. Yes, I've got concerns with some of the, our young brothers and sisters being taken advantage of by the international record labels. That's what they are. They are sharks. Whatever money they give you is a loan. In most cases, worse than what the banks will offer you to start a brand new business. So research. If I can't, if the record label is offering me this ridiculous amount of money for this stupid percentage, how about I check the banks what their percentage is? And they would not own 100% of my catalog or my publishing or my masters. Education, education, education. That's my only concern. And that's why we're here. With God on our side, we're going to keep talking to the young brothers and sisters. You don't have to run into any major contract. Relax yourself. Build your fan base. Run around the community. Grow your strength and your power. Then when they come to the table, they come to the table correctly. But if you've just started to walk in Pampers and they come to sign you as an artist, they're signing your life. They're signing your masters. Your most exciting times will be signed to those platforms. Burna Boy, Wizkid, and Davido became established superstars before they partnered with international platform. Don't do it off of a one-hit record. So that's my fear and that's my concern. But hopefully some people will be saved because they listen to education, they listen to information, they're available for that. Others will be taken advantage of and will regret those moments for the rest of their lives.
I think that's really, really wise advice because the way the world is now set up, it is very different to how things used to work even 5, 10, 20 years ago.
Yep.
However, the beauty of it now is that because of social media, because of YouTube, TikTok, things like that, you can actually get yourself quite well established as an independent artist.
Yeah.
You're not in a sense, unless you want to do what you just described and get a record label that will give you the money and then expect you to work blood, sweat and tears to pay it back.
Social media now has given us the opportunities to do everything by yourself. from your bedroom, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and that's it. I just uploaded the interview. The rest of the world has seen it. Do that first. Build your fan base, build your audience, build your following before you listen to any of us. And I think that's what we need to teach people. Social media is the one only platform that you control and that can make you a voice to be heard. And until people take advantage of those, they're going to always fall into the wrong hands.
That's brilliant advice. Thank you so much. I'm aware that
We got it wrong.
that you gotta go, that you got places to be and people to see, things to do. What are you up to this weekend? You said there's a few events, so do you want to just give us a plug?
Exactly. So what I just wanted to say is, first of all, thank you very much, Samantha, for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to meeting you for the first time and coming into the studio here at Feferity Radio here in South London. A real honor. Thank you for what you're doing and promoting our culture with the little spaces that you have. This weekend, on Monday, the 10th of April, we're at the O2 Kentish Forum for a Francophone superstar in Tiakola. Shout outs to Congo, to Global, Moko. We're putting that together. It's going to be an absolute blast. Make sure you come out for that. After that, we've got events such as May 20th, East meets West Africa at the Alternate. We're having East Africans, West Africans, South Africans in the building celebrating African pop culture and music. Go get tickets for that. And of course, the biggest ones, like you said before, Burna Boy at the West Ham Stadium, 3rd of June, and Wizkid at Tottenham Stadium, 29th of July. Afrobeats podcast, go and check that online. The Energy God, Energy Drink. I'm Shopsydoo, and thank you very much for having me.
Brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for taking time to come on my show. And I'm going to, I'm going to play one of the songs that you chose, which is Davido's Unavailable.
Let's go.
Initiating rage process.
I'm unavailable. They know they see me. 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 I'm sorry for who won't be my matter. Sorry, I'm only human. So make nobody para. Them say I carry woman. Shey na man way I for carry. Fuck all the rumors. I need that when I talk say I be pastor. If you know you it can walk. If it's not I got talk. Go only go. Day your day me a day for the day girl I'm unavailable. I'm unavailable. They know they see me. I'm unavailable. They know they see me. I'm unavailable. They know they see me. I'm unavailable. They know they see me.
Complicated my life. I don't have no time, Shania. Come see me shining. Got too many birds on my IG. I'm changing my life. Oh, I'm a mama proud in it. She got me going. This friend took all my freedom. Cause I'm a big propeller. Straight for everyone's like you're go jealous. Got a big banana. I'm a big propeller. Straight for everyone's like you're go jealous. Got a big banana. Cause I'm a big propeller. Straight for everyone's like you're go jealous. Got a big banana. I'm a big propeller. Straight for tonight. Back the fella. Chickity.
I'm unavailable. They know they see me. I'm unavailable. They know they see me. I'm unavailable. They know they see me. I'm unavailable. They know they see me.
And that was Shopsydoo, it was so exciting to have a guest on the show who has achieved so much. I would say both in the area of music and promoting African culture, really just inspirational. And you know what? I might even try that energy god drink, because if that brings you that kind of levels of energy and achievement, it might be worth looking into. So we are on the bank holiday Easter weekend. We've heard from Shopsydoo. He has shared so much about how to really, his life is amazing because he is constantly involved in Afrobeats. He has the podcast and he's doing these amazing things. And that is, I think, something, and maybe one of the most interesting things that he talked about was, what is your motivation in life? What is it that motivates you to get out there? What is it that motivates you to get up in the morning and really work on something and work towards something, even if it feels hopeless? You know, don't forget, he's now got a huge following. He's a popular personality. He's often at these shows as MC, as presenter. People in the industry know him all over. He has got influence. He's got a whole team of people that he works with. How do you get to that position? He started off in a pirate radio station, not even sure if anybody was listening. So I think that's something to remember. You always have to start somewhere. And for him, it was following something that he was passionate about, something that he really enjoyed, almost like a hobby that then grew into something else. And I feel quite strongly, and this is my belief, that none of us really are here to just do one thing. I think almost everybody has a number of talents, a number of activities and abilities that they could turn to several different things. You might have one primary calling. My favorite example is always pediatrician. I think there's just something about people who become doctors and people who become doctors who look after sick children. I just think that's that's for example an amazing calling, because who as a worried parent isn't going to be grateful for an individual who has studied for years in order to especially help sick children? But whatever you do it well. Whatever you do it with pride. Whatever you do in life, do it with care. And do it in such a way that your motive is a pure one. It's not wrong to be motivated by money. I think that there's an element of that is necessary. It is necessary for living. It is necessary to have that also to some degree measure how successful you are. But it shouldn't be the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning, because it's just not going to be enough long term. We are here. And think about it. When you hit 60 or 70 or 80, what is it you would like to look back on? What is it you would like to look back on as having achieved? I'm asking myself this question just as much as I'm asking all of you. But for Shopsydoo, he can look back and he can see that he has played a key role in bringing African culture and African music, really, to take it out of Africa and bring it here into the UK, into the US, bring it to the West Indies as well, and that it's become a bridge between cultures that previously were quite separated. That music is something that can unite people. And I think that that's very, very true. I think there is something particularly powerful about music and what music can do for us. And I've got a song that I want to play, which I actually asked a friend for some suggestions on songs to play. It's a friend who is also a musician and has a record label. And I said, look, I'm doing an Afrobeats show. He's also big time into Afrobeats, so a shout out to him. And this is one of the songs that he picked. And given what I've just been talking about, it seems like the best choice to play. So we've been talking a lot about Wizkid today. He got several mentions as one of those artists that's just become like huge worldwide. And this is Money and Love by Wizkid. There you go. Now.
Nobody like me, body like me. Baby, when I pull up Gucci, all in my jeans. Big lollipop, baby, lick like ice cream. Big bad ways, Mr. Shift your panties. Fuck you to put your banting, or put your benzine. Girl, any record, girl, I go make you sing. New shit, the pray for the cocoa, my sing. I got the holy water, baby, make you come swim. My pocket full of money, yo. My heart is full of loving, yo. Whoa, whoa. Nobody bitter for the dancer, no. Fine lady, she dey bounce along. Skin tight for your body, yo. What you dey wanna him, I want to know. Don't stop, make you drive me on. What you dey on, him, I want take on. Now by me, yo. Low me, yo. Bunda split to your me, yo. Wallow me, yo. Brag about me, yo. Catch up like Wasumbi, yo. Chasumbao, I'ma jubao. Touch me, I touch, I see deal. We are some me, so can loleo. Chop me, I chop, and not see you. Make I keep on. Make I keep on. They say, oh, I send the money and go supply you. Till long from LA to Coco Michael. And if we fly it, I'm Mumbai. Pretty lady, all you want, say now one time. Show a lot Dubai. Jota Badele Shama Juba. I dey feel fine, make me feel nice. Bus too short for this one night. My pocket full of money, yo. My heart is full of loving, yo. Whoa, whoa. Nobody bitter for the dancer, no. Fine lady, she dey bounce along. Skin tight for your body, yo. What you dey wanna him, I want to know. Don't stop, make you drive me on. What you dey on, him, I want take on. Now by me, yo. Low me, yo. Bunda split to your me, yo. Wallow me, yo. Brag about me, yo. Catch up like Wasumbi, yo. Chasumbao, I'ma jubao. Touch me, I touch, I see deal. We are some me, so can loleo. Chop me, I chop, and not see you. Make I keep on. Make I keep on. Yeah, your body better than the Filipino. My mama me call, mommy I no go. Bumper bad with the mini mileage. They cannot touch it, make me feel like don't go. Fine girl to the buy me, oh. I want this kind loving. Say make a touch and give 'em properly. Make a give 'em normally.
That was Money and Love by Wizkid. Welcome back. My name is Samantha. This is the Variety Show. I am here until 4 p.m. today. It is Good Friday. So just wishing you a very good Friday, and I hope you've had a great time so far. The sun is out. The weather is the warmest it's been all week. So if you're out and you're missing my show, don't worry. I will be putting out a link later on, so you can always listen back as well. We have had an amazing guest today, an Afrobeats podcast, well-known media personality called Shopsydoo. And he's been sharing really his life of coming over to the UK and just really promoting the things that he loves, which is African culture and African music, and how far that has taken him and how much pleasure he has got from giving those artists that platform and opportunity to just get their music out there. And I think there's a lot to be said to celebrating the fact that often people's achievements cannot be so easily measured. So there's some people that it's quite easy to see what their achievement is. You know, they might be, well, like some of those examples, they might be internationally acclaimed music artists who fill huge stadiums. But do they do it alone? They don't. There's always a whole group of people that are involved in pulling those things together, it's a huge amount of work. And as somebody who's quite recently been introduced to the music industry and been introduced to doing different types of live events, often with the music element as a really strong one, I can just tell you now that there is a huge amount of people that are needed. There's a huge amount of technical skill that is needed to pull together a show, to just plan a show production, and to make sure it happens seamlessly. There's setup that goes on and loading in hours in advance. There's audio engineers who have to make sure that everything is in place. There's people that do the visuals, they set up the stage, they unpack, not to mention the musicians that make up the live band, and not to mention backing singers. So to put together like a really good music performance is a lot of people, a lot of effort goes into it. And if you're looking for somewhere to go today, yes, I'm going to plug an amazing concert that's taking place this evening. So there is a music collective called Good News Music, and they have, I believe, about 30 music artists across the UK and across the world who all work together as Good News Music. And today they are having an Easter concert, and it's in Ilford. So it's in East London, Coliseum Suite, 310 High Road, Ilford, and that's IG1. So if you look up Good News Music, you will find tickets on Eventbrite. They are very reasonably priced. I believe they're around £10. So, and for children 5. So it's also something that's suitable for younger audiences, is that kind of music. And there's a mixture of artists who perform different genres, different styles. So you can expect to see and hear some hip hop and rapping. There's also some rock, and there is also some reggae music and dancehall. So you're just going to hear a whole mixture. So that's tonight. If it's Good Friday, you're kind of getting a little bit bored and you want to get out, come to the Good News Music concert this evening in Ilford. I will also be there, so you might well spot me there in the audience, and I'll probably be dancing around as well. For me personally, one of the most amazing things about music is the beat. I think there is something to be said about beats. I think, just the fact that we have a heartbeat. So every single waking second and sleeping moment as well, our body is holding a rhythm, is holding a beat. So then when we engaged with music that has a beat, it can actually tie in with your heart rate. I don't know, I'm probably showing my age here, but when I was younger and things like clubbing and raves were a thing, I remember there was talk about certain types of dance music having specifically a beat chosen to be as fast as your heartbeat on purpose, and or little bit faster even, to just kind of get you into a certain feel, a certain vibe. So there's something about beats especially being particularly important to us in music. Certainly for myself, I would say that is the number one thing that I will listen out for. If a song hasn't really got much of a beat, it will fit. I will listen to it when I'm in a certain mood, but it won't really do that much for me. And I think that's one reason I do really like Afrobeats as a genre, is because of the beats. And honestly, some of the songs with the best beats in recent years that I've heard have been, yes, there's some hip hop songs as well that have really good beats to them. I'm not going to knock that, because that's a reality as well. But in recent years, some of the beats that have gotten me the most excited have actually been Afrobeats. And you know what? Just as a little pick-me-up, now that we're getting to that point in the afternoon, certainly where I start to get a little bit sleepy, I'm going to play a remix of a song by King Perry and Techno, and just listen to the beat on this one. Sorry, I'm just having a technical difficulty there now. That's it.
Them a send it, well, if it is to me, trying to punch it.
Yoruba. So chocolate, rush up my money. So chocolate, my liquor. So chocolate, rush up my money. Let's go party. I'm a talking la, did you talking la? Big people laugh like sappy. Did you talking la? I'm a talking la, did you talking la? Big people laugh like sappy. Did you talking la? Oh yeah, make we dey go City Royal, ma. No go strong your body, make you day loyal, ma. Yeah, yeah. No go think say na joke, the money dey ya. Come in continental, lele, in a day royal, nah. Girl, make I touch your body. Girl, make I touch your body, make I touch your body. Say nobody holy, say nobody holy, say nobody holy. You know when I kiss somebody, she know when I kiss somebody, give me body. So now she taste the money, so now she taste the money. She want us to laugh, DJ talking, make people laugh like sappy. DJ talking, I'm a talking, DJ talking, make people laugh like sappy. DJ talking.
I hope you really enjoyed that. I just, there's something about the lower beats there that just kind of really get me into a certain vibe. That's the kind of music I would play if I'm. Do you know what I would actually play that music in? If I were directing a TV episode or a film where something kind of really, there's like an element of something dangerous happening, but something also that's exciting at the same time. I think one of my sort of dream jobs would be the person who picks the soundtrack for a film. I actually think that would be one of my all-time favorite jobs. So if any of you hear of those jobs going, just point them to me. Point them to me. I mean, having the radio show is amazing because I get to. I always ask my guests to pick some songs because I think that's just a really nice way to engage them and also bring in more of them into the show. But I also like the fact that I can just pick songs and play songs that I really, really enjoy. If you are listening, this is the variety show with myself, Samantha. We've got around kind of 15 minutes left today. It is Good Friday. Make sure you tune in next week. I will be back at a later time of 4 p.m. Make sure you keep listening to Feferity Radio. We have got an increasing number of presenters that just cover a whole range of topics. There's a new presenter once a month. I think it's the first Sunday of every month. We have a relationship specialist. So that's always one to listen out for because we all want to have good, strong relationships. And he's going to be sharing some of his decades of experience with relationship issues. And another one that you could send in some questions and concerns if you have those. So I will be also making sure I mention him just before his show is on. Now there's another song that I want to play for you. So one of the Afrobeats artists that's maybe the most recognized, certainly maybe the most played, I would say, is Burna Boy. If you don't know who Burna Boy is and you don't know his music, you have been living in a cave for the past 3-4 years. He's come out with banger after banger. He's done a huge amount of collaborations with well-known artists. It was really interesting because Shopsydoo kind of just explained earlier why he is so popular, and it's the fact that yes, he's got the Nigerian heritage, he's got the Afrobeats, but because he's lived in the UK and he's also got like influences from Jamaica, from the West Indies, and then he brings in a bit of that London swag. He puts out music and he puts out that image that just attracts and appeals to loads of people. And when I ask people to pick songs, they always say Burna Boy. That's number one choice. Especially Last gets chosen again and again. So I'm going to treat you to a Burna Boy song. It feels appropriate given that we have been talking about Afrobeats this afternoon. And this is chosen by my guest actually. And it's Roller Coaster. And it's Burna Boy featuring J Balvin, and I believe this has been out for a little while.
I don't want you to waste my time. I don't wanna wait till it's all over. This life is a gift from the Most High Jah. That is why I'm thankful for all I have. Cause the fast life really ain't all that. So now I try to be pure of heart. No be like say I know this shit normal. I just get better in Jah. Waiting and see for this life plenty. I keep on for my belly. Roller coaster. People be like any roller coaster. My life now. Roller coaster. Let go.
Como todo sube, también baja. Pero la vida me protege de las malas. A veces creo que yo soy la hierba mala. Porque no muero que me tire muchas balas. Y que me duela para recordar que estoy vivo. Que me la gozo pero también la he sufrido. Que ni la fama ni la lana me calman el frío. Y la sonrisa de mi hijo me quita el escalofrío. De mis emociones, muchas palabras pero pocas las acciones. Ya no vivo pendiente de las opiniones. Ya me resbala, solo quiero hacer canciones. De mis emociones, muchas palabras pero pocas las acciones. Ya no vivo pendiente de las opiniones. Ya me resbala, solo quiero hacer canciones. Dímelo si sientes que te ofendí. No siempre puedo estar feliz. Hacer la cosa. La gente está encima de mí. Toda cosa. Si arriba estás, roller coaster.
I don't want you to waste my time. This life is a gift from the Most High Jah. That is why I'm thankful for all I have.
That's it, Roller Coaster featuring J Balvin by Burna Boy. Just to give you a little treat of those smooth tones of his. Because what Afrobeats show would be complete without some Burna Boy, I think. That would have been just a travesty to not cover him at all. As was mentioned earlier, there's some really big concerts coming out this year just here in London. So if you are an Afrobeats fan, you can see Burna Boy in June, or you can see Wizkid in April. A Grammy-winning producer, music artist called Donald Lawrence. He's managed to rack up 14 Grammys. 14 Grammys. I thought that was quite impressive. He's managed to rack up 14 Grammys. He's somebody that especially works with choirs across the world and often gets asked to work with the top choirs, really. And instead of him traveling from every single country to another, he's now arranging this event called Music and Arts Global. So you can find out about it online by going to musicandartsglobal.com. So you can get free tickets. There's 2 concerts happening during the conference. You will hear not only choirs from across the world, the world-class choirs performing. You'll also hear individual artists, because a whole host of the US, the cream of the US gospel and choir scene will be coming over in his tow. They'll be coming over with Donald for this event. So there's an event on the Friday the 28th and another on Saturday the 29th. The Friday 28th is a free concert. So you can bagsy yourself free tickets by going on to musicandartsglobal.com. And if you scroll down, it'll give you numerous options for tickets. It'll give you options for the whole thing. If you wanted to come and just learn about managing choirs and just making, if you're part of a choir and that's what you work with, that's what you're part of, and you wanted to just learn everything from, the world's leading experts, you could come for the whole conference. If, like myself, you simply enjoy well done choir music where the harmonies all are beautifully blended, then the Friday night is going to be a real treat for you. So make sure you grab those free tickets at musicandartsglobal.com. So I wanted to just make sure you absolutely know about that. I'm going to play another song. This is also a request from a friend who made some suggestions, and this is by Declan Rice. Hi and welcome back. That was Declan Rice with a song which I can't pronounce. I think it's Odumodulak. Right, that's what we're going to call it. Hope you enjoyed it. I want to play you. I've just got a few seconds left now, so just thank you so much for joining the show. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Shopsydoo. I will absolutely get more exciting guests week in, week out, so make sure you tune in. Next week it's going to be 4 p.m. and this is one of my favorite Afrobeats tunes this year, because it's called This Year, and I just want to play. You're not going to hear the whole thing, but you'll get just over a minute of it, and it just conveys what I want to wish you, my listeners. I want to wish you blessings.
Some Duke on the vibe.
This year, blessing, money, testimony. Go to follow, you they go.
This year, good news, giant plenty balling. Go they follow, you they go.
Everything I be wanting, manifesting for my life.
Everything you be wanting, manifesting for your life.
Even before you call, you don't answer prayer. My papa is too shy, he don't fit for your hand. Even before you call, you don't answer prayer. My papa is too shy, fit for your hand. Everything I be wanting, manifesting for my life. Everything you be wanting, manifesting for your life. Everything I be wanting, manifesting for my life. Everything you be wanting, manifesting for this year, blessing, money, testimony. Go to follow, you they go.
This year, good news, giant plenty balling. Go they follow,